So you might be asking yourself, if you've had seizure falls and gone unconscious, got scratched up, and if emergency rooms have diagnosed them as seizures, if they've seen you unconscious while sober, if they've seen all this, then why can't you get medical care up there in Rochester and Dover and Somersworth? Why, when you go into a hospital, do they play so many games? Why do you get do not lift orders that just say you're excused from gym class? Why, when you have blood in your testicles and you want to know why, do they try to give you a psychiatrist until they actually look at your testicles and go, oh, this is real. Oh, well, we're not qualified for this. You're going to need to see a urologist and a specialist for this. Oh, this is real. Okay. Yeah. We thought you might have needed a psychiatrist, but now, no, 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 no. Go to a urologist for this. But I have to shove it down their throat to look at my testicles before they even give me any proper medical care. And even then, it's all very shoddy because my insurance won't cover anything. Plus, as long as my mother and father keep lying, saying, oh, he's crazy, he's a liar, he makes up fantasies, he's mentally ill, don't help him, don't treat him, don't pay for any treatments, don't do any testing, don't give him Social Security, put him to work, have him fall on the side of the road, have him get run over. I don't care if he dies, just make sure that he doesn't get the truth out there. So, with my father talking like that, and his new wife, who knows nothing about the situation, his new side piece after my mother died at about the age of 20. Remember, I wasn't living with them or spending any real time. It's not like they wanted to bring me to the doctor. When I tried to have conversations about this, my father would just scream, it's a fantasy! It's a lie! Don't talk bad about your mother! Meanwhile, there's medical records that clearly state that something was wrong with me at age 7. I clearly went unconscious as my mother messed around with pills. I clearly had a lot of suspicious activity, like my mother was not getting her way on Halloween, and then all of a sudden she administers medication and I get sick. The following year, they tell once again my mother's not getting her way, so she administers medication and I get sick and my mother gets her way. And then the following Halloween, my mother does not get her way, so she administers medication. And then all of a sudden I get sick and my mother gets her way. Then my mother brags about how she thinks it's okay to give extra medication to her child. She brags and brags and brags from the age of 7 all the way to the age of 16, so much so that many witnesses heard my mother make this statement: I gave my child extra medication, so what? So we have all that going on, right? Well, why do I still not get proper health care? Why am I still getting injured? Why are my legs, back, arms, head smashed so many times from seizures and I'm still not on like any epilepsy medication? Why is this going on? Well, my mother and father wanted to keep a secret and they wanted to cover up their crimes. They buried it. This happened to me at age 7, and then they just trafficked me, cut off all doctors, cut off all teachers, just buried the proof, just buried it, just buried it under so much shit. On top of this, they refused to try to get me any physical health care, and they also, that was one of my twitches, sorry. They also made sure to drown the medical paperwork with made-up psych cases. Like, for instance, I won a swimming medal in the orphanage just for treading water at the YMCA. The staff member put my initials on it, told me to make sure no kids steal it. I put it in my Lego box. I went through foster care. I was playing with my Legos one day and I went to show it to my mother. And my mother made sure to have me put on medication. She made sure to make up stories about that medal. She told the doctor she was sure that that belonged to an African American because he's athletic and I'm not. On top of this, she's sure I'm writing my old last name on that just to get back at her. And she's telling the doctor that I need more and more pills so my mother can play around, play doctor with me some more. Meanwhile, she's creating a fantasy, stealing her son's medal. Meanwhile, her son's crying, please give me my medal back. I won that in the orphanage. Why are you taking my medal? Why are you taking my medal? No, I didn't write on that medal. No, the staff member wrote on that medal. That was my name. Now, my name was Zachary Greenelm, so she wrote ZG. Why are you stealing my medal, Mom? And she just goes, "You're a fantasy. You're lying. You're making up stories. Doctor, my son is lying and making up fantasies. I want lots of medication for him. I do not want him talking like this. On top of this, I know for a fact that my son put this G on the back to get back at me. Yes, you did, Zach. Yes, you did. No, 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 no," and getting in my face, yelling at me. I'm a 5-year-old. I'm a 6-year-old. And this woman's getting in my face, stealing my swimming medals away. What the hell's going on? Then on top of that, I come home from school one day and I can't find my favorite little display toy. It's just a gold Pokemon card from McDonald's in a display. It just looked pretty. It was a collectible, so it was like my favorite thing to look at. I was just looked at it a little bit, kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool looking. And my mother saw me looking at it and appreciating the toy, so while I was at school, she threw it away. Then I asked, "Why, Mom? Why are you throwing away my toys? Why are you getting rid of my toys?" My mother says, "Because you like it more than me. You like those toys more than me. So I'm throwing them away." So my mother was jealous. Then a couple weeks later, when I'm complaining about this to doctors or other people, other people outside of the family, that my mother's throwing away my toys and it's getting me upset, and my mother's stealing my swimming medals away and it's getting me upset, my mother goes, "I took his toys away because he didn't clean his room." For one, my room was clean. I was only 5 years old. It had nothing to do with it. And you don't steal and throw away your kids' toys while they're at school because their room isn't clean. That's just psychotic. Plus, she changed her story. That's not what she told me. She told me it was because I liked it more than her. And she said this many times later, too. "Oh, you like it more than me. No, you like it more than me. You like it more than me." My mother had a mental illness. She thought everybody was out to get her. She thought her adopted son was out to get her. She was jealous of her son's toys. She was playing doctor with her son's health. She thought it was okay to give extra medications as punishment. She was giving me full bottles of Epicac as a punishment, throwing away her kids' toys, killing her son's self-esteem by stealing his swimming medal that he won in the orphanage. Yes, my mother stole an orphan's accomplishment away. An orphan won a swimming medal, the only thing he ever won. This orphan only won a swimming medal because he treaded water better than the other kids. And my mother wanted to snatch that out of the orphan's hand and steal it and then make up fantasies at the doctor, hurting this child with pills. Meanwhile, my mother drinks more and more and more while popping pills herself. This is what eventually killed her, popping pills and drinking. Meanwhile, my father tries to ignore that she's drinking, tries to ignore that she's acting crazy in the car drunk, tries to ignore that I'm in the other room getting a ruler to the face, tries to ignore all the pills going around the house, tries to ignore my mother just making up crazy talk. Like, for one instance, my mother ended up making up a story, and it was very clear she was making up a story in front of my DMH worker. On top of this, my mother used to blame her own incidents on me. And on top of this, when I needed medical care, like it was very apparent to everybody that I needed this coordination issue, my seizures, my neurological issue looked at, my mother would just try everything to make sure I didn't get any medical care. Like, they found, like, the teachers and people started seeing me bump in the furniture for the last 10 years. Many teachers told my mother and father about this. All the way from age 7 all the way to age 18, teachers were like, "Hey, your son's having problems moving his body. He's bumping into stuff. He can dribble a basketball well, but he can't shoot it, even though he's been playing for years now." Stuff like that. So my mother and father call me in the living room and they ask me why I have scrapes on my shins. And I tell them I'm bumping into stuff, I'm falling down. As far as I know, it's normal boy stuff. I wanted to go to the doctor and find this out, but I don't know what it means. All I know is I got bumping into stuff and falling down. That's it. I guess it's normal boy stuff. I have no idea. Now, normally a parent would say, "Well, let's go to the doctors and see what they say. We'll have you tell them when you heard this start. We'll have you describe the symptoms, and then maybe the doctor can give us better answers." That would be the appropriate decision by a mother and father. But what did my mother and father do? My mother goes, "It's self-harming. Yeah, you're bumping into stuff on purpose to self-harm your shins and your wrist, and you're bumping into bed frames and tables, and your wrists are hitting doorknobs because you're a self-harmer and you're doing it on purpose. Yeah, you're a self-harmer. Yes, you are. You sucked your skin at age 7 because you're a self-harmer. You sliced open the back of your foot jumping into a pool because you're a self-harmer. And now you're bumping in the furniture for your entire life because you're a self-harmer. Yeah, that's it." And my mother screaming like a lunatic that Me having a neurological disorder and bumping into things and getting scratched up on the shins on my bed frame or on a doorway or on a table, or my wrist watch breaks on a doorknob because I twitched and had a jolt. My mother wants to tell the doctors that this is self-harming behavior and I'm mentally ill and need more psychotic medications. And my mother wants to bring this to a psychiatrist. She doesn't want me getting physical help. She doesn't want me seeing a neurologist. She doesn't want me bringing up the overdose at age 7. No, she's going to do everything she can to brainwash, mislead, lie, and manipulate me and my father. And still to this day, my father wants to go with the fantasies. My father now knows that my mother was creating fantasies, lying to doctors. He has plenty. After all these years, I'm now 31. He knows that my mother had some problems. All his children have said, your wife has problems. She died while popping Vicodin and drinking the one day she was home from the hospital, yellow with 20% of her liver working only. She wasn't even supposed to be home, yet she thinks she can go straight to the liquor cabinet. So there's enough here. I mean, my mother admitted in front of my father, me, my sister, and my sister's husband that she thought it was okay to give extra medication to children, as like punishments or otherwise, right in front of everybody. Horrified we were. So, with all this going on, what does my father do? He wants me to go get buried someplace and keep my mouth shut, so that way his dirty little secret goes to the grave with me, and that way I can just die and suffer and pay for his sins and his wife's sins, and that way I just pay. That way he can just put everything on me, just pile that shit onto his son's head, call him a shithead, and watch him die, and nobody ever finds out what's really going on. Like, for instance, I was in Lowell, Massachusetts. It was pretty cold. I think it was about fall, but I don't know exactly the time of year. I haven't been drinking for a couple weeks. I haven't been using any drugs. I have a clean urine, clean blood, clean everything. What is kind of the problem because I'm shaking and I'm usually use Ativan or CBD or marijuana, or lately I learned that Triliptal works, or CBDV or regular CBD or something. But I have no money, not even $1 for a beer. I'm trying not to drink. I'm not using any drugs. I have a clean urine. I can't stay in the shelter. So I'm just walking at nighttime and I'm freezing cold and I'm starting to shake. I can't really talk right. I realize I'm about to fall and my legs aren't working and I'm about to have some type of seizure or something. And the last couple times this happened, it didn't go well. So I start asking people for an ambulance. I'm just like, I think I need an ambulance. And I'm just about to, I'm walking very funny. It looks like I'm about to like smash my head against a cement walk. I don't know how to describe this. It's like my legs are numb walk. It's like you have no legs. And I'm just saying, can somebody call an ambulance for me, please? But I'm not able to talk real well, so it's just like, ambulance, please? Anyways, I go out. I go bam on the ground. Now I'm about 5 feet from some other bar I've never been in before. I don't drink at bars. I don't do that or anything. But the nearest business happens to be a bar. Not that I didn't do that on purpose. I was trying to get to the hospital, and Lowell is filled with bars every 5 feet. So, anyways, I'm on the ground and I go unconscious. I start coming to, or maybe I start going out. But either way, I start going in or out of consciousness. And I hear somebody go, "Get up, you damn drunk. Come on. What, you want more booze, you damn wino? You want more booze?" or something like that. Then I go unconscious some more. Here, and here's some booze for you, boozy. And I go unconscious. I don't know what's going on. I wake up again in the emergency room, and a nurse says, "He's awake. Come on, let's go over here." So the nurses come in, and they ask the most stupid question. And they ask this question because of my mother and father. Remember that. My mother and father have lied to every doctor in every hospital for the of all time, from since the time I met them. Things were going good. I graduated first grade, but my mother wanted to hold me back. But I did good. I graduated at the top of my first grade class. I came in fifth on the spelling bee. I came in first at treading water and swim class. I got the prize for best behaved kid. They said I was healthy. I only needed one medication. I was getting prizes and I was doing very well. I was going through foster care, and my foster mothers and fathers seemed to like me very much, except for one of them thought my vision was a little off. Then I met this foster mother, and all of a sudden I go from taking one medicine to doing good in school, to normal, to being on so many medicines, feeling weird, mother taking my swimming medal away, weird things. She's screaming at me to put words in my mouth I don't understand. She's giving me full bottles of Epicac. I mean, I just don't know what the hell's going on with this crazy woman. It is something I don't understand. So, anyways, I'm in the emergency room, and you got to remember that she's been doing this now. I'm age like 21, maybe, something around there, 22, at Saints Memorial Hospital in Lowell. They find me unconscious on the cement, and the nurse comes in. I wake up, and she asks the most stupid question because of my mothers and fathers. See, they're not stupid. The people that are stupid is my mother and father for lying. My mother would lie, and my father would look the other way as craziness was right in front of him. I mean, come on. You think my father really thought that giving children extra medication for a punishment was okay? Because that's what he agreed with. My mother said that it was okay to poison little children as long as they're orphans. And my father was like, yeah, that's okay. We can give this child any pills we want if they're prescribed or otherwise. There was many times where my mother was doing something totally nuts and my father was just there like blank stare. Like when my mother hung up on the emergency people when they told her to bring me to the emergency room. She goes to my father and says, they don't know what they're talking about. Let them sleep it off. I'm having an overdose and I'm supposed to sleep it off. Of course, my nervous system was never the same after that. But does my father really think that if his son is having a reaction, lost his vision, seems to be losing his speech, seems to be passing out at his feet, and the mother is on the phone with emergency people and they're telling her to bring me to the emergency room, and your wife comes over going, they don't know what they're talking about. Is it normal not to ask what's going on? Is it normal just to go with the flow and let your child pass out from an overdose at your feet? Is that normal? No, it's not. So, yeah, that's the problem there. Anyways, let me go back to the hospital. So, true story, I'm in Saints Memorial Hospital. I've had some type of neurological reaction, seizure. I've lost the ability to walk. I've fallen. I've kind of woken up pretty scratched up. And some asshole walked by and screamed at me like I was some drunk. He thought I was some drunk passed out on the frickin' ground. Sounded like he was pouring booze on me or something, but I really don't know because I couldn't feel my skin. It's not like I could feel the booze. I just know this guy was calling me names and, here's a drink, junkie, and stuff like that. I wake up in the hospital and the nurse asks the most stupid question. She comes up and goes, why are you sober? And I'm a little confused. I'm very confused. I'm like, I just woke up in the hospital, sober, clean urine, clean blood, 100% sober. Something is seriously wrong with me right now. And my nurse is asking me why I'm sober. So I look at the nurse and I say, because I did not use drugs or alcohol, because I have no drugs in my system. And she's looking at me like I have three heads. What? What? Why are you sober? Why are you sober? Why are you sober? Because I didn't want to drink. I didn't want to get drunk. I don't understand the question. Why are you asking me why I'm sober? And then the nurse goes, well, we can't find any alcohol or drugs anywhere in your body. You have no alcohol in your blood. You have no alcohol in your urine. You have no drugs in your urine. You have no drugs in your blood. We've done every single test we can think of, and we can't find a damn drug in your system. I said, oh, well, I can explain that. I haven't taken any drugs or alcohol in over a month. Then she goes, gets kind of a mad look. Well, we know that you smelled and reeked like booze when you came in here. So explain that to us. I go, oh, well, some asshole poured booze on me. That's about all. I don't know exactly what was going on, but yeah, some guy was calling me a drunk and he must have poured booze on my shirt. Or did my clothing smell like booze? They said, yeah, we took it off of you. It looked like it was soaked in rum or something. I go, oh. Oh, well, that answers that. Yeah, he must have poured some booze on me while I was on the ground. I go, okay. And then guess what they do? Do they run any tests? So they've run drug testing. They've run blood work for drugs. They've checked me for alcohol, heroin, cocaine, every drug in the book. And I've now told the nurse I'm sober. There's no reason to do those tests. Whatever happened to me is nothing to do with drugs. And then the nurse gives the message back to the doctor, and they release me with no further testing. You think they tested me for a seizure? No. You think they wrote down I had a neurological disorder? No. Thanks to my mother and father, they just don't know what's going on. They figure it must be some mental illness. That's what the mother said for 15 years. Mental illness, lie, fantasy, mental illness, here's some drugs, here's some drugs, here's some drugs, mental illness, here's some drugs, here's some drugs, mental illness, liar, thief, mental illness. We can make a song out of my mother's bullshit. Yep. Meanwhile, what am I really doing? Winning swimming medal, working hard, traffic to Texas, not allowed to see my doctor, teachers trying to help, but my mother doesn't want it. Trying to tell the doctor what's going on, but my mother wants to lie to the doctor. Then she wants to traffic me to Texas. Then things go okay in Texas, but I start telling the doctor I need help with my physical health. And what do you think my mother does? She lies, and then she decides, let's put him in New Mexico, cut off all doctors, cut off all teachers, cut off everybody who knows about this neurological disorder, and has seen Zach during the change, and has seen Zach put on jackets in the windy condition, they've seen Zach shake, they've seen Zach fall, but these people won't care, so let's just stick him up there. And then after that, where do we go from there? Do we try to get him medical care? Do we try to get him a top-notch education? No, let's sell some houses in Maine. Let's have him shake up there. Then I fall to the ground in Maine during a fireworks show. Yes, I fall to the ground. I shake. I cover my ears. I scream in pain. I shake. I scream in pain. I shake. I scream in pain. On the ground, on the cement, at the top of the beach. We're at the main beach of Ogunquit. We're watching the fireworks. Loud bangs at nighttime. A little breezy. I don't know why, but I'm cold. Then, oh no, shocks, down to the ground, I'm in pain. Each bang, each light hurts like a motherfucker. I can't stand up, I cannot seem to move, and then my mother puts me in the car and I never get to see a doctor for it. Then my mother asks me, oh, what's going on with these bumps on your shins? I tell her I'm bumping in the stuff, I have some problems with my coordination, I seem to be falling down every so often, normal boy stuff I think. And my mother goes, it's self-harming, let's bring you to the doctor and get you drugged. Then I jump into a pool, catch the back of my foot, it gets sliced open, need 2 layers of stitches. I go to tell my mother about this with multiple witnesses, 8 witnesses, my father, my brother, tell her that this was just an accident. What does my mother do? I don't care what they say. It was self-harming. I'm going to tell your doctor it was self-harming. I don't believe any of this. I don't care what they say. It's self-harming. Then we have a meeting. My sister, me, my sister's husband, my father, and my mother. They ask why I don't like my mother sometimes, why I'm upset at her. I say, well, she keeps on drugging me. She keeps on acting crazy. They ask me, well, give me an example. I said, okay. She poisoned me with Epicac, gave me a full bottle of Epicac, and then I turned to her and said, let me guess, you're going to lie and say it never happened, right? Blocking her from lying this time, because boy, did my mother love lying. Every time she did something wrong, lie your way out of it was my mother's way. So anyways, I put a block on her lying. I say, oh, let me guess, you're going to lie through your teeth and tell them I'm making this up, right? Well, because I said that, my mother decided to go with the truth. She decided to tell the straight up truth, because that's what you're supposed to do. So my mother goes, yeah, I gave you a full bottle of Epicac, so what? So I gave you Epicac, so what? So I gave you extra medication, so what? I said, Mom, that could destroy the esophagus, stomach, and you did it with other medications too. You did it with lots of stuff. There was an overdose, lots of stuff. Then I ask a simple question. I say, Mom, Dad, everybody, does anybody... No, first I ask my mother, do you think it's okay to give medication, extra medication, to a child as a punishment? My mother says, yes, of course. And I go, does anybody see a problem with this? And everybody sees a problem with poisoning a child but my father. My father says, nope, you can poison a child all you want. Nope. Well, he doesn't say that. He says, nope, it's okay to give a child extra medication. We're all horrified that my father thinks this. And then he goes, what? Did I miss something? Yeah, you just basically said that it's okay to poison your 5-year-old son. So yeah, when I go to the doctors after a seizure or a fall, They don't know what to do, so they just check my blood for drugs. They don't find any. They check my urine for drugs. They don't find any. They check my eyes to see if I seem like I have drugs. They don't find any. They find me looking like I just had a seizure or a fall, all banged up. They come up and they ask me, "Hey, what happened to you?" I tell them I had a fall. It seemed like I had some type of taser feeling in my back, and then I went unconscious. Well, did you do any drugs today? Nope, not this. No, no, none. No. Did this happen to you before? Oh, yes, yes. This has been happening to me since age 7. Oh, why isn't it documented? Oh, because my mother and father didn't want anybody knowing. Oh, okay. The next thing you know, I'm released because they have nothing on this. And what are they going to do? Without my father and mother being honest and truthful, I'm destined to die and suffer for the rest of my life thanks to my mother's and father's choices. And my father still wants me to die for his choices. He's been notified several times. He's seen enough to know it's real. He knows that he is harming another person with his own choices, and he might, I mean, I'm going to die. I've already paid enough. I mean, we're not even talking about the future death and the future suffering. I've already had 25 years of suffering. In New Mexico, I had a seizure and was left outside and still didn't get medical care. When I OD'd in Westford and had an overdose, I wasn't allowed to get medical care. When the teachers and the doctors wanted to help me, my mother's putting me in ballet and moved me across the country. Then she's lying to doctors and stealing an orphan swimming medal, throwing away toys because she's jealous of them. Just complete craziness. And then she's admitting to everybody that she thinks it's okay to drug children. Well, not children, sorry. She thinks it's okay to drug me, the orphan she adopted, only. She can do whatever she wants to me. She can rail me, she can beat me, she can pill me up, she can lie to my doctors, she can lie to my anybody she wants. She can even act crazy to my teachers to the point where my teachers are calling home trying to get her to stop acting crazy, and then the third day telling me, "Oh, you poor kid. Well, yeah, we tried with your mother, but even we couldn't get her to stop acting crazy." Meanwhile, my brother's saying, "Man, poor kid, your mother's acting crazy." My nephew, poor kid, your mother's acting crazy. Family members and friends of the family, poor kid, your mother's acting crazy. Anybody who spent any time with my mother got a little glimpse of it. I think even Rebecca, my nephew's mother, got to see on one Christmas my mother treat me like a dog and get ready to stomp me into the carpet. Yep, and that's why when I had a seizure about 10 years ago in Lowell, and I was left outside and somebody poured booze all over me, I woke up in the emergency room all sober, no nothing. I mean, they should be doing testing, but instead they're releasing me and only doing drug testing. Why? Well, somebody poured booze on my shirt and they can't find any alcohol in my system, so that doesn't make sense to them. They see a bunch of mental illnesses made up by my mother and father. They don't know what the hell's going on. Meanwhile, I was unconscious and I'm having trouble speaking. And I'm saying that this has been going on since age 7, but nobody can find anything on it. Meanwhile, that's only because my mother and father buried it. If you get me into a car and we spend a couple years trying to retrack my father's steps. I mean, no, don't expect my father to help either. Don't expect him to give you the name of the doctors in Westford. Don't expect him to care. Don't expect him to try. He might even try to get rid of some records. He might even try to just make things worse. He's called my doctors before and said, "It's fantasies." Meanwhile, the doctors are looking at my face 3 times swollen, or my testicles are filled with blood, or I just had black urine come out of my penis on camera, and my father's like, don't help him, it's all a fantasy." Oh yeah, Dad? Then why is there black stuff coming out of my penis? Huh? Now that's not to do with you. The neurological disorder has to do with my mother and father. That's been going on for 25 years. I mean, I've been having all different types of neurological problems for 25 years ever since the overdose. And I've been having stomach and esophagus problems ever since my mother gave me a full bottle of Epicac and started putting pills in my body. So, yeah, those are absolutely them. And on top of that, when you go 25 years without help with such a severe illness, you can't drive, you can't use shelters, you can't work, and when you do work, you get injured, you make your injuries worse. And I wouldn't be surprised if my kidneys and my GI have to do with my last seizure or me working and pushing my limits too far. But either way, no matter which way you look at it, my father made some big bad choices and he just wants somebody else to pay for it. I mean, anybody else they would be in jail. I mean, you can't just commit crimes and try to blame somebody else for it. Just because you get away with a crime, you decide to, traffic or wear. I mean, let's say I wore a mask and committed a crime like murder. If I get away with it because I wore a mask and got to another state, does that mean I did not do it? No, I still did the murder. I still wore the mask, but I just never got caught. That's the same thing with my father. My father's still responsible with my mother for what they did. Just because they moved me around the country, tried to bury it, my mother made up stories about me to try to bury it further, and then had me put on every pill under the world, making me go up, down, side to side. I mean, we got all these pharmacy listings. I mean, it's crazy. I was on, at the age of like 7 years old, I was on more meds than most adult serial killers. I'm not even kidding. There's serial killers in mental institutions who were on less meds than me as a child. And you know what? These serial killers are administered their meds properly. My mother's giving me overdoses, throwing her own pills in because she doesn't want to watch TV. She's giving me pills before adoption parties, and I'm looking drowsy, and everybody at the party's going, "Why do you look so tired? I want to sleep on the floor. Why do you look so depressed?" "Oh, I don't know. I just feel tired." Meanwhile, my mother knows just 2 hours prior, she gave me some pills and told me it was my medication I needed to take. But as a 7-year old, you don't know what any of this means. All you know is your mother gave you your medication, you got tired, you slept in the car, you slept on a wooden bench, and then everybody at your adoption party was telling you, "Why do you look tired? Why do you look depressed? Why do you look tired? Why do you look depressed?" Meanwhile, you're getting birthday gifts and you're getting gifts and you want to, you're inside, you're screaming, "Oh, this is so great. This is so great." But the drugs your mother gave you are making you so drowsy, you just want to curl up on the floor and sleep. I mean, that's just how my childhood was. When my mother gave me pills, oh boy, did they work. They made me drool all over myself, and sometimes they went wrong. Sometimes I experienced overdoses, and my mother wanted me to sleep them off. And there were signs. I was sucking on my skin right after the overdose. I was talking to it about doctors. Teachers were concerned. They were putting me in physical therapy. But then my mother cut them all off and moved me to Texas. Plus, I was unconscious. I don't know what that adoption stuff was about, but I know my mother gave me a lot of pills before we went to some of these courtroom stuff. And I was passed out on a wooden bench, out like a light for one of them, and that was the same day as the adoption party. So whatever was going on there, my mother did not want me talking or being awake for it. They probably were going to ask me questions that my mother didn't want me answering. So she just gave me some pills, slipped me some pills. I go unconscious in the court. They figure because it's a 9 a.m. court appearance that has nothing to do with it. But then we're in the car, I'm still passed out. Then we're at my adoption party and I'm still passed out. And it's the afternoon by now. And I mean, I know my mother gave me pills because she gave me pills. She said, "Zach, it's time to take your medication here. Take these." And then, like, a little bit after that, I am passed out in the car. I'm passed out on a bench. And I'm passed out from my own party, or almost passed out. I'm trying my best to stay awake. So yeah, this happened over and over and over and over, and my mother's still hurting me today, even though she's no longer alive. I still have to live in my mother's fantasy land thanks to my father trying to keep it that way. Yep, my father still wants me living in a dead woman's fantasy land, and I don't get to drive, I don't get to work a job, I don't get to collect my Social Security because my father lied to Social Security and decided he wanted to collect the money. I don't get to ever live. I don't get to live indoors, none of that. For me to do those things, we got to clear this up first. So I can get epileptic medication, so we can get the help I need. Then I can go to work, collect Social Security, get a wife, kids. Even though I really can't have any kids. Well, maybe I can, but ever since the young age, I haven't been able to produce any sperm but a couple drops. Just a little bit. Just a little bit comes out. Actually, even my nephew looked through one of my condoms one time when I didn't want him doing that was already used, and he thought it wasn't even used, even though there was a load in it. Please excuse the disgustingness, but that's true. I was having birthday sex, and my nephew was like, "Prove it, prove it, prove it." So I said, "Check the trash cans, you idiot." So he did, and then he goes, "There's nothing in it." Ew, ew, ew. I don't want to even know about it. I don't even want to know. Yes, there was something in it, but why are you touching it? Ugh. Please don't touch that shit. That's so gross, guys. I don't need to prove anything to you, and now my girlfriend's upset, and I should have kept my mouth shut. I shouldn't have even told you guys what was going on. You guys asked what was going on. I gave an honest answer. Now I regret it. And that's the problem. I always give honesty. That if you ask me a question, I have no shame in my game. I will give you an absolute honest answer. I will tell you about how at the age of 16 I shit myself. I will tell you about how at the age of 7 I had an overdose. I'll tell you how about at the age of 9 some other 8-year-old that was getting abused flashed her shirt to me. I'll tell you about how at the age of 9 I used to make out with another 9-year-old in the library. I have no shame in admitting the abuses that happened to me, but also some of the more embarrassing things. Like, did you know I used to think I was gay? I had so many people tell me I was gay. Even though I dated women, I liked girls, I dated girls, everybody kept on calling me gay until, no, no, we know you're gay. No, 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 we know you're gay. Yeah, I thought I was gay for a little bit because so many people were telling me. I was at least like 40 people in the same year telling me, no, 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 you're gay. Well, they're just bullshit. And I'm not even talking about my family. That was out of fun. I'm talking about people in programs who really, truly believed that my voice and my walk and my mannerisms meant I was gay. No, you know what makes you gay? Because some people struggle. Some people struggle with this. Like, I've noticed that some people think because they experimented in, like, the Navy, like I heard one guy say, in the Navy, I experimented with another guy. Does that make me gay? And then the other guys in the shelter said, yep, if you touch a dick, you're gay. That's not true. That is absolutely not true. What makes you homosexual or in that way is a attraction to other men. If you're attracted to other men, you are homosexual. If you're attracted to women, you are straight. So if you find women's privates really do something for you and seem to give you a joyful feeling, you're straight. If women privates make you feel like you're sick and you want to vomit, you're probably homosexual. If you find a penis makes you vomit like I do, when I see another man's dirty from under cheese penis that you can smell from across the room, and yes, I've been in enough shelters and orphanages to know that people don't clean their damn underdicks. Yeah, it's disgusting. People walk around like that in shelters too. Well, depending on the shelter. Anyways, yeah, if that grosses you out like it does to me, you're probably straight. Absolutely. But if somebody's dirty, disgusting penis makes you all hot and bothered, then you're probably homosexual. But that's the truth right there. And I see a lot of people are confused and think, well, he experimented in the Navy, so he's gay. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like, hey, I experimented one time, so I'm gay for life. But there's a lot of assholes out there that like to kind of just make up their own shit as they go along. There's a lot of people who do that. Kind of my father, actually, I gotta say. He won't even ask follow-up questions and get like I've been trying to have a conversation about this problems with him for years, and each time he uses one of the conversation walls where you just stop it and then you run away. I know all about that. You say, it never happened. I didn't do it. I don't want to hear about it. I'm going on vacation. I'm going this way. I'm not answering my phone. I don't want to hear it. I've seen it all the time. When people call out when they're not supposed to, when people accidentally hit a car, I know that. I know he doesn't want to take responsibility for his actions. I know his oldest excuse. It's a lie. It's a fantasy. You're mentally ill. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to deal with it. Prove it to me. I don't have to. We've already had enough proof. You've had all your proof. My father has got all his proof for years. He had doctors tell him something was wrong. My mother admitted that she thought that was okay to give me extra medications. She literally died while trying to drink. She literally was popping my Vicodin and literally like just made an excuse. It's only one time I stole my son's medication. I'm allowed to take that while he still needs it. It's Vicodin, so I'm allowed to take any I want. That type of attitude clearly showed what was going on. Plus, my father very well spoke to me like he wasn't sure about this medication. But now that I come forward, he wants to go with the fantasy. He wants me to live in a dead woman's fantasy. Why? Because then it takes the guilt away. Well, I couldn't have been this bad of a person. I couldn't have let my wife do all this. So I'm going to go along with the fantasy and keep doing more harm. I'm going to call him more names. I'm going to call his doctors and tell them not to help him. And then we'll see what happens. Yeah. I'll have more seizures, more head injuries, more falls, and I'll have to spend another 10 years restarting because it took me 7 years to get as far as I did. And then I have to keep on moving from state to town and restarting. Why? My mother and father made sure to move me around all the time. All the time. I had never stayed in one place for more than 2 years. Here in Rochester is the longest I've ever been in one place in my entire life. I've been here for almost or about 7 years, almost 7